Hello everybody, so this is Linda Lecomte at X10 Archery, and I'm going to go over what you could be thinking about in your program to introduce a Try Archery program, which is something where anybody can walk in or they've booked in advance online, paid their fees to come and try archery. So it's not a lesson, it's about a 10-minute orientation or introduction to talk about archery, the basics, safety, and just get them shooting, have them shooting some arrows down range for an hour or so. So the way that we do it here, we charge $25. It might be different in your area depending on the demographic and where you are, but what that gets you is an hour on the range, the equipment, and 5 or 10 minutes with one of my coaches to go over the basics of archery. So we have people sign up online, so we can see at any given time how many people we're going to have come in to do the Try Archery, which gives us the opportunity to reserve lanes, make sure that we've got lanes left for our members and any lessons that we might be doing, and that you don't overcrowd yourself. Make sure that you've got enough coaches on hand to handle the number of people coming in to try archery. So once you've got that set and you've got your structure, you know how many people are coming in, you need to make sure that you've got the right equipment for them. So we have a ton of rental bows here. So all of these here are Samick Sages and Galaxy Bullseyes, which are, they're not ILF, they're bolt-on bows, where you've got your wooden riser and bolt-on limbs here, and we've got all sorts of different poundages and lengths starting at 48. We've got some smaller bows over there, 54s, 62s, 66s, and ranging in weight from about 12 pounds up to about 22 pounds. And we don't have anything much more than about 22 pounds for our rentals, because new people coming in, they haven't shot before, they don't have good form necessarily, and haven't built up their archery muscles. We want to make sure that they are having a good time. So if they're able to pull the string easily and take their shot without fighting the weight of a bow, they're going to enjoy it more. So sometimes you might find yourself having conversations, somebody new coming in and saying, if you've got a heavier poundage, I want to try a 40-pound bow. We have a one-time rule in that if somebody wants to buy a bow here and they're new and they want to get into something that you know is way too much poundage for them, we'll tell them once. We've tried this multiple times and given advice, talking about injury, taking lessons, the downsides of working in a heavy bow. Some people don't want to hear it, and as long as we've told them once and made it clear that, you know, we don't necessarily condone them, but we're not going to stop them from buying a bow, but they've had the warning in advance. So that's one reason we don't have heavier than about 22 pounds here. So the people coming in have got no potential of injuring themselves. They're going to have a good time. They're not fighting the weight of the bow. So these are all my right hand bows over here. I've got a ton of lefties and Genesis bows and some nicer bows, some ILF bows over there. That's international limb fitting instead of the bolt-on limbs. So these are very hard wearing, they're a great value for money. They've just got stick-on rests on there. You're going to be replacing these regularly. If you have as many people come through your range as we do here, your rests are going to get beaten up. So avoid the Hoyt Super Rests, the little white flimsy ones. They're great for recurve archers, but for bows that really get a lot of use, you need to be doing something like a hunter rest on there that's a little sturdier, very affordable still, and sometimes they've got a little bit too much curl on there, so sometimes I'll snip that off. It just really depends on which arrows that I'm going to put on there. So stick on rest, no plungers, no sights, no stabilizers or anything like that, just basic bow. Okay, so make sure that you've got plenty to choose from, different lengths, different poundages. We make our own strings here. You can get the off-the-shelf Cartel or Fast Flight $15 strings, or that's retail, to go on there, but you'll find that they will stretch and won't last as long. So we make our own with BCY 8125. Pre-tensioned. It lasts a lot longer, gives a little bit better performance as well. And then we tie nocks on there. The reason we don't use brass nocks is brass nocks hurt if they hit your arm, and we just find these a lot easier if you need to move it. We just prefer tied nocks. We do have brass nocks here, but we don't use them unless somebody asks for it. So these bows do have a plunger bushing in there, and bushings for a sight as well. If we're working with students, someone who's in a lesson and they're progressing, we may put a plunger in there, we may put a sight on there. It's even got stabilizer bushings in there if you're going to convert them into a recurve archer, Olympic recurve, so you can totally do that. So as well as all of these bows, we have behind the scenes lots of stabilizers and sights and plungers and finger slings and everything that you will need to give your archer all of the variables and equipment, bits and pieces to try different styles of archery. Or maybe if they're not able to buy their own equipment just yet, but they've had a lot of lessons, have a lending program. We have a loan program here where our students can borrow stuff, but keep track of it. You'll lose a lot of stuff otherwise. So other supplies that you will need are obviously arrows. So we have behind the wall here a big old caddy full of all sorts of different arrows, mostly around the same spine, which are going to be Genesis 1820 or Jazz 1214, Inspire 2000s, all of which are on the weaker side because of the low poundage bows that we have here. So these are the Eastern Neos. I forget what spine these are. It might be a 2000, but it's pretty weak. But they're long. This is what I love about the Eastern Neos, is for your tall people coming in who need that longer arrow, so that when they draw back and they get to full draw, you don't want the arrow falling off the rest. So make sure you've got a good variety of different lengths of arrows. The Jazzies are pretty short. We've even got super clubs out there, which are carbon arrows, some of which have been cut. So we've got all sorts of different lengths. And spines. Make sure to match your bows and arrows together as best as you can, even for the new people coming in, so that they have a pretty decent experience. So other things that you will need lots of are arm guards. So we have these 3D printed, which is pretty darn cool. Just elastic, and you can get these little doohickeys on Amazon or Michael's or all sorts of places. And finger tabs, you'll need a load of these. We make these also very easy to make, but also very affordable to buy from your favorite large archery distributor. Okay, so you will need lots of them. Make sure that you're collecting them when people are done. We lose a lot of these. We give away a lot of these, but you'll get through them. So you'll need a caddy of some sort. We have, I don't know if you can see those drawers right here. That was from Sam's Club. Lots of different drawers in there, and there's finger tabs, arm guards, bow squares, finger slings, score sheets, pens and paper, bow square, all sorts of bits and pieces in there, and a box of clipboards at the top, for when we have JOAD, so people can keep score. And then we keep used paper faces on the range. All of our new ones we keep behind the counter over there, because people will be very happy to grab new targets at every opportunity, and those things cost money. You can totally reuse paper targets many times until they're falling apart. Okay, so we will put up used targets downrange for archers when they come in. So I've got my bales set here at 9 meters, which is what we generally do for new archers, and that's what I'm going to do my demonstration at here, is 9 meters. So without further ado, what do you teach them in Try Archery? The basics, the very basics. and let them know that if they want to learn more, that they can book a lesson. Let them know that you have a great teaching academy, you've got great instructors and coaches, and we're just giving you the very, very basics to have a good time right now. And if it's quiet on the range, you can probably shoot for longer than an hour. On the weekends, we get so busy in here that we have to limit it to an hour. So if you're able to let them shoot for longer, let them shoot for longer. They'll enjoy it, okay? So I'm gonna do a try archery. So I'm going to imagine that I've got a student standing right here, and I'm going to show them for the first time how to shoot. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my bow. And so first of all, you're going to establish if they're left or right-handed, and their eye dominance too. So some people have opposite hand and eye dominance. I'm right-handed, right eye dominant, which is great. If they're not, if they're left eye dominant but right-handed, you have them close their left eye, okay? Or give them an eye patch is okay. Old school used to be that you went with the dominant eye with shooting because it's easier. With the dexterity, we have people shoot with their hand dominance and just close the other eye, okay? And there's all sorts of ways that you can discover what their eye dominance is. If you come to one of my certification classes, you'll hear lots of ways of doing that. So I'm right-handed, so I'm with a right-handed bow in my left hand. So you have your archer straddle the line, and you're gonna demonstrate to them first. So whenever you are sharing information, whether it's in a class, in a lesson, try archery, you introduce the concept, you explain it, and then you demonstrate, always demonstrate. So I'm straddling the line, 1 foot on either side, feet about shoulders width apart, and let them know to make sure that those feet stay put through all of the arrows, no moving around. Left hand in the bow, we're gonna have a loose grip on the bow, which means when I've got some tension on the string, I can let go of the bow. I'm pulling the bow into my hand. My hand is slightly out at an angle, not wrapped around the bow, not a death grip. It's loose, we're pulling it into our hand, okay, with a loose thumb on there. Also, next thing, we're gonna go ahead and load the arrow. So put it onto the rest first. Obviously, if you're doing a demonstration, make sure the arrow is always pointing down range and communicate that to them. Also, put it on the rest. Make sure you hear it snap onto the string. Now, where on the string did we put it? We put it in between the two knock locators on there. Some bows might only have one. If it only has one, it goes underneath, but we always put 2 knocks on there, and it goes in between. Make sure you hear it snap. Now, my index vein, which is the single color in this particular instance, there's 1 white, 2 blue. The index vein always faces the archer. And why is that? It's so that when the arrow leaves the bow, it will clear. If it's round the wrong way, that index vein is going to hit the riser and it's going to knock it off course. So we've got our knock arrow on the string. We're going to put 3 fingers underneath the arrow. You're going to tuck in your thumb, tuck in your little finger, and put your fingers just underneath the arrow. So we've locked our hand into the bow, we've got our fingers on the string, we start low, we come up to eye level, and then we pull all the way up to the face to get your archery anchor. That's your index finger in the corner of your mouth. Your elbows up and back, so you're making a nice T position like this. And then we're going to take a second to aim. We focus on the target. The arrow is in our peripheral vision. Eyes focused on the target, and then we're going to relax the fingers and follow through. The follow through is the hand staying nice and tight to your face. So I'll go ahead and do that. Start low, come up to eye level, draw to anchor, take a second to aim, 2, 3, release and follow through. I'll go ahead and do one more. On the rest, make sure you hear it snap onto the string, 3 fingers underneath. Not squeezing into the arrow, but just underneath the arrow. Start low, come up to eye level, draw to anchor, aim, 2, 3, release and follow through. And that is it. I'm gonna go ahead and put my bow on the rack, and then I'm gonna show you how we pull the arrows.